and welcome to our program. Today we are visiting your distillery to check its production of gin and tonic made out of waste. Let's go check it out. So that's where you keep the ingredients conserved?
Yeah. You can see we have some in alcohol here. And also,
it's like a lab.
Yeah, it is. We also have a small distillator over there.
So it's the same as that
small still, it is called. Sort of. It has different qualities. It's not made out of copper. Copper is also actually giving a flavor profile because it I don't know how to say it in English, but it affects something that's in the product, the alcohol, to become so it becomes more nice flavored. That's a metal still, small. It's 4 liters, I think.
Okay,
we
so
use it,
what use it
for test distillations. When we have a new botanical, instead of making 90 liters of gin, we can make 4 liters here and see, okay, how does this Szechuan pepper, for instance, work, or how does this very funny botanical that we just discovered, how does this work? We can make it small scale and get an idea. Okay, it's sort of this way. It also can do some fast infusions of botanicals in alcohol.
So like personalized type of things or something?
I'm sorry?
Like personalized, like if someone, I don't know if this is even an option, if someone has an idea of like this really specific gin and they come to you with the idea, would you be able to, like, is this the equipment that you use to try it if you're interested?
It's not, you cannot really, well you can, but it's not, to make gin on it, it's not optimal. But we can, if someone comes to botanical, there are many people in this country that specializes picking botanicals in the wild, foraging for good restaurants, and we have a contact to many of them, and sometimes they come down with, I found this, this is interesting, what do you think? And we think it's interesting, and then we can try it there and see, okay, that's good, maybe we can get some more of that and incorporate it into a gin at some point.
Okay, so you're like always trying new? Always.
We have to try to distill everything from kippers.
I'm not sure.
No, but herring that is put into a can.
Okay.
Yeah, to cigars and everything.
Cigars?
We try everything.
How did that go?
Well, if it's too dominant, it's not good. But in small amounts, the aromatics can actually be quite interesting. We have, I think, we have some here. This is what's it called? Ramson wild onion. See, it's it doesn't say.
Onion.
Yeah, let me see. You know the green onion that grows up in Risskov?
Not really.
No, but in the spring, in 2 months, Risskov will be all full of green onion. Yeah, it's very garlicky.
Ah,
Yeah,
it's really weird.
it is. And we also have some, and you shouldn't drink it, but this elderflower is 87.92%.
87.
Yeah. Oh, it's nice.
Yeah, it's really it's really soft compared to the other one.
Yeah. What else do we have? Some more elderflower. We have some.
So what type of ingredients do you usually use or play with mostly?
This is tobacco. A nice cohiba.
Okay, it's not so strong. I thought it would be way stronger.
It is very
Like
strong.
the smell, like I
Yeah.
thought it would hit me in the face.
If you taste it, it's very, it really.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I'm sorry, you asked about something.
About the main ingredients, like, are there some ingredients that you play more often than others? Like, what are your like go-to ingredients? Let's say.
There are what I call classical nr. botanicals. That is lemon balm, lemon verbena, woodroof, angelica root we also use. That's those ingredients we tend to use at least in our signature gins. Sea buckthorn is also very nice. Rowan berries sometimes. But we really like to experiment and try new stuff. So always trying to find something new. We have juniper berries. That's the definition of gin is that it should have a predominant flavor of juniper berry. It should be at least 37.5 ABV. But within that spectrum, there's really a chance to play around and do a lot of different stuff.
Okay, and
So
what are like besides cigarettes and
cigars.
cigars,
Yeah.
sorry, and onion and this type of things? What other weird things have you tried to do? Is that like just for fun, or are you trying?
No, it's serious product development. Many times when we distill something, it doesn't work, but then we know it doesn't work. Sometimes over 2 or 3 years, it seems that it actually we figure out that we have this that we could find a really good purpose for, and then we mix it with some other things, and it works out very well. For instance, we have these oyster mushrooms. We tried to distill oyster mushrooms. It tasted horrible, smelled horrible. Then we tried to fry them before we distilled them to reach some more depth in the flavor. It was horrible. But now we have all these liters of distilled oyster mushrooms. So we put it on a little barrel, and we waited 2 years or 1 year, a lot of time.
Just to let it sit.
Yeah, because instead of resting in a metal container where it's not developing, we can put it into the barrel and see how it does develop in the barrel. And after a year or two, I don't remember the exact time, the flavor was suddenly very, very wonderful. So now we actually incorporated it into our latest barrel-aged gin, where it was blended together with other of our barrel-aged gins, and it gives a very nice, funky, but also very schnapps-like flavor to this barrel-aged gin. So when we try to distill oyster mushrooms or whatever, at some point we might be able to find purpose for it, even though by the first sip it turns out to be not what we wanted. Yeah.
And can you explain a little bit of the process? What happens when you just let it sit, let it be in the container?
Yeah. After we distill, the first few days, the flavor changes very much. But within a week or 3, the distilled gin has found its, a level where it doesn't really develop. And it has so much alcohol in it, so it can last for years without going bad. There's not any yeast or anything. Bacteria can live in alcohol with this percentage. So on a metal tank, for instance, the gin won't develop, and that can be a purpose in order to store it, to make sure what we have
stays the same.
Yes. It changes a little over time, but mostly within the first few weeks after distilling.
Yeah.
At some point, you can see we have all these wooden barrels. We can go down here and take a look at them. Barrel aging is traditionally something that you do within whiskey and rum, a little bit aquavit, I think, as well. But because we like to experiment and challenge the gin in general, we think it's funny to put it on barrels. Gin and vodka have historically been something that you produce in order to get some fast and easy money, because whiskey, for instance, has to be rested for years on these barrels, wooden barrels. And so when you distill and you have to put it on the barrel for 3 years, then it's 3 years from you worked to you can get paid for your work.
Yeah.
So and vodka and gin doesn't have to rest on the barrels. You just have to give it a few weeks so the flavor has settled, and you can bottle it and sell it immediately. So for many distilleries, gin and vodka is something that they have done in order to be able to make whiskey or rum or cognac, or I'm not sure the cognac people does it, but these barrel-aged spirits, we put it on barrels because we think it's because we make gin as the thing we do here, and why not barrel age our gin? And on the barrel, it takes a lot of flavor from the wood. It gets some sweetness, it gets some depth, a little bit of tannins. But if you and then also we have some new oak barrels from Hungary, one in the corner. We also have some. I don't know if you're familiar with the Stauning whiskey, but a whiskey distillery in Western Jutland. We have some casks from them. One is peated, so we can get peated flavor into our gin. We have some Burgundy Pinot Noir casks, where once was Pinot Noir. We have some Sauterne barrels, Sauterne dessert wine. And if we put the gin and it rests for half a year or 2 years, and then we take it out, it also gets some flavor of what was on that barrel before. Yeah.
That's really interesting.
And it's funny to blend different barrels with some peated and some new oak, combine it with some Hungarian or some French oak, and you can blend it and you can make some really interesting stuff. And that's also what we did with the oyster mushrooms that had been of these small casks. Yeah. So the type of wood, how old it is, how big the barrel is also affects the flavor. Yes.
Maybe can you just tell us which of the, some of these ingredients?
Yeah.
That you usually use. I think it's very curious.
Yeah, I think this is rowan berries. Oh no, this is sea buckthorn, I think, and this is rowan berries. I believe this is lemon thyme, We have some lemon slices. Is this rosehip? I think so. Some pine, some peas, and this is angelica root. And in general, we have. It's a funny thing because when we don't like to waste anything, as I said, and we try to. So when we make the tonic syrup, we have peel a lot of citrus fruits, but all the whole fruit we don't use. We don't like to throw it out, but we can put it into alcohol and distill it, and maybe sometime we'll figure out how to use it, like I told you before. And that's actually what we did. We just developed a coffee liqueur with coffee from Stiller's Coffee. Super wonderful coffee he makes. We mix it with our gin, and we wanted a little bit more of citrus flavor, and we have some old citrus distillate that we made, so we could blend that into the coffee liqueur, and these citrus notes will make the coffee more present, coffee flavor more present in such a nice way. So some of these things are also because we have some leftover, we can put it into alcohol and it can stay for years, and we can distill it and figure out how to use it later in a new product.
Would you say that your goal is to have completely no waste production?
Yeah, it's one of many goals. There will always be some waste, but we try to reduce it as much as technically possible.
And still about this partnership, this process that you developed, is it open for other companies or other people to use it also, or is it like your only?
So far it's at least something that we work doing here. Now we are running the first real test on this machine today, and we are still
trying to figure out how it goes. It's still a bit
so for now we are learning to work with this, and you can come by maybe next week and taste it. It'll
we'll see.
Be wonderful.
Yes. Okay. Then maybe we can talk a little bit with Jacob now about the process. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure.
You too. Thank you.
Hi Jacob.
Hi.
Thank you so much for having us also. What can you tell us
pleasure.
about the production?
Okay, I'm gonna take you through the process of making the tonic we are trying to make. So it starts up there, like everything does here. Gin comes out on one end, as Jens explains, and then we have wastewater left over. We take that wastewater and we filter it through this first.
Okay.
Then we filter it into one of these.
So that's connected to that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it has a pump on it on that end, and then these are filter plates with filters in them. So we've
what does this do basically?
It takes out most of the big debris and small little particles that makes it look nasty. Also, they don't add any flavor or anything, so there's no point in them being there. So we remove them first with this, and the first filtration is a rough filtration with a coarse filter, So there's still a bit left over of small bits and pieces.
But basically the goal is just to clean up the big chunks,
Yeah,
right? Okay.
that is.
Okay.
And when it's run through this filter, we put it in one of these buckets.
Okay.
Right now there's cleaning liquid in them. And when it's in the bucket, then we add a little bit of sugar and a little bit of yeast to start fermenting.
Okay.
And we're using as I remember it, I think it's a champagne yeast.
Champagne yeast.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
No, but it's just a yeast specialized for making champagne.
Okay.
I think that's what we use, if I'm not wrong. Or it's a very light beer at least, something like that.
Okay.
So it gives off fruity flavors.
Okay, and then it goes to the machine?
Yeah.
And that's what you're helping with this week, right?
Yes, that's what I'm helping with. So you can see over here we have one. You can, if we look inside.
So this is the liquid after the machine or after the filter?
After the first filtration and with added yeast. It's in there. So you can see, it looks all brown and nasty, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to drink that.
I don't.
Also smells a bit funky, but
Yes. What is this?
that's an airlock. It makes sure that when the yeast ferments the sugars and stuff left over in this, it produces CO2.
Okay.
And if you don't have one of these on, you just have a closed lid, it's gonna explode.
Yeah.
So this ensures that CO2 can flow out,
Okay.
but nothing comes in the other way.
Okay.
It's kind of basic in beer production and other fermentation. But yeah, so we have this now. And when it's in this state, when it's done fermenting, we run it through the filter again on a much finer filter.
Okay.
So it takes out all the yeast that's left in there, the dead yeast cells that have done their job, and all the rest of the small bits and pieces of the debris.
So it's like liquid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes it all clear and nice. It has a...
But it's still brown and a bit...
Yeah, no, it gets a more golden yellowish color
okay.
when we do that.
Okay.
And then, yeah, we filter it and we put it in this one.
Okay.
And this is what I helped acquire when I was here interning. This thing. This is a fermentation tank.
And this is specifically for this product?
Yes. As of now, they plan to use it for more stuff in the future, but
Yeah, of course.
and this fermentation tank is equipped. I don't know if you can see it over here. Yeah. First, there's an external cooler that pumps cold water. There's a water reservoir inside. Reservoir. In through here and in to this, the outside layer. It's layered, so there's a thin outside layer just under this first piece of steel that gets filled up with cold water when we need to chill it, because we need to chill it later in the process.
Okay.
But that's just a chiller. And if you look inside, maybe if you look inside, what this also can do.
Oh, it's empty.
It's empty right now because we're not ready yet to fill it up. So this piece right here, that's a heating element because we need to pasteurize it to make sure it's shelf stable and it doesn't keep fermenting and explode in people's homes and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Also kills any bacteria that might make you sick when you drink it. Not that should be any problem, but just to be safe. And then we have the other one, that's a carbonation stone. Because what we need to do with this, to make it more tonic-like, more soda-like, we need to add CO2 back into this and make sure it dissolves in the liquid. That's why you can see it's really solidly built, because it's made to endure 3 bars of pressure inside. So it's 1 bar of pressure is what we walk around in normally, 3 bars, so it's 3 times that.
What do you mean what we walk around?
And normal air pressure is
the
1
pressure
bar.
that we feel, yes.
Every day. We don't really feel it because we're so used to it, but yeah, basically the weight of the air above us. And this inside this will be 3 times that.
Okay.
To make sure that the CO2 dissolves and stays in the liquid. So it's nice and fizzy when we open it. When that's done, when we have pasteurized it and chilled it and added CO2 to it, we pump it out through the bottom over here. It's a little bit hard to see because it's awkwardly placed right now. Into this. And this is a semi-automatic fill. That's also one of the pieces I helped acquire, which fills bottles up an exact amount, and it fills. What's smart about this machine is it fills under counter pressure, so none of the bubbles escape when we fill it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a slow process.
No, it's not that slow.
Okay. So
It
how
should be
long
quick.
would you say, like for instance, the filtering? Like you need to let it sit then.
Yeah.
How long would that be, kind of?
Well, from start to finish, it takes about I don't know, 1.5 months or something like that.
Okay, that's very slow.
Yeah,
That's very slow.
But that's mostly because of the fermentation. The fermentation takes about a month.
Okay, so only like after the filter?
Yeah.
The first filter?
Yeah.
Or the second?
After the first filter, we start the fermentation, and that takes at least a month, depending on how hot it is and how cold and stuff.
So you just let it be there for a month?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, and then this part?
This part takes about 2 days.
Okay.
From filtering to heating and cooling and the pressure setting with the CO2. That the pressure setting with CO2 takes 24 hours, something like that. So this, before it's finished on bottles, after it's done fermenting, takes about 2 days of manual labor.
Were you there from the beginning of this process, or?
Not all the way from the beginning. They had already figured out which yeast they wanted to use before I arrived, and they had also made the tonic syrup Jens talked about. They also made that already. So I came in and had to figure out
this part.
This part, yeah. What equipment they needed for what they wanted to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great. Okay. I don't know if there's anything else that you would like to add?
No, not really that I can...
We covered pretty much everything.
Yeah,
okay.
I think so.
Thank you so much, Jacob, for explaining everything to us. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That was it for today. Thank you so much for staying with us. We hope you enjoyed the program. See you next time.